Beneath the internet you use every day, beyond the social media scroll and the streaming services you know so well, there exists a place whispered about in hushed tones, a hidden corner known as the dark web. It is a realm without light, a labyrinth of encrypted servers and anonymous portals where forbidden deals are made. Some people enter it out of curiosity, others for profit, and some for something much darker. You've heard the stories, haven't you? That on the dark web you can buy anything: drugs, stolen credit cards, fake passports, entire identities for sale. But the most haunting rumor is that you can order death itself. A hitman for hire. Someone who will erase a life for the right amount of cryptocurrency. People laugh, they scoff, they dismiss it as urban legend. And often, they're right. Most of these hitman sites are scams, cheap tricks designed to steal desperate money. Yet hidden within the noise are cases that were not myths, not rumors, but chillingly real. People with motives, people with rage, people willing to pay Bitcoin to end a life. And sometimes they didn't just dream about it, they tried. Picture it now. Somewhere in a quiet suburb, a man sits alone in the dark, the glow of his laptop the only light. His hands tremble slightly as he scrolls past endless streams of hidden links, his heartbeat quickening as he lands on a site that looks too professional, too clean to be fake. A black background, red text that reads, "Professional Hitman Services. Guaranteed results." He stares. It feels unreal, like a horror film he accidentally walked into. Yet it's real enough that the site lists prices like a menu. Standard job, $7,000. Accidents arranged, $10,000. Family discounts available. He doesn't laugh. He doesn't click away. He lingers. He knows exactly who he wants dead. And with just a few keystrokes, he believes he can make it happen. That's where the nightmare begins, because while most of these websites are indeed scams, the very act of ordering the job makes the person guilty of intent. That is the dark truth. The internet might not always deliver a killer to your door, but it will expose just how many people secretly wish for death to be delivered. One woman in Canada did exactly this. In 2018, her marriage had soured, and suspicion poisoned her heart. She believed her husband had betrayed her, and instead of leaving him, she wanted him gone forever. She entered one of these sites, stared at the list of services, and made her choice. She uploaded his picture, his work schedule, his home address. Every intimate detail a killer would need to know. She transferred thousands in Bitcoin, her hands steady as if she were buying groceries online. She believed it was real. She waited, imagining her husband's last moments, perhaps even smiling at the thought. But the hit never came, because the hitman she paid was not a killer. It was a sting operation. Law enforcement had been watching. She was arrested, her face pale and shocked, as if reality had suddenly betrayed her. She admitted she truly believed she could purchase death with a few clicks. That was her horror. She thought she was smarter, safer, hidden in the cloak of the dark web. But she wasn't hidden at all. Another case unfolded with terrifying obsession. An American nurse in 2021 found herself consumed with jealousy. Her lover had another woman in his life, a rival she couldn't bear to tolerate. Her envy grew into something darker, something venomous, until she typed her rival's name into the form on a site called Sicilian Hitmen International. The site flaunted mafia ties, boasted successful kills, even showed blurred-out evidence photos of supposed victims. It looked convincing enough for someone desperate, the nurse believed. She wired her Bitcoin, sent the details, uploaded a photograph of the woman she wanted dead, and then she waited. What she didn't know was that the website had been under surveillance for months. The FBI tracked her steps, traced her Bitcoin, and when they arrived at her door, she broke down instantly. Tears, panic, fear, all signs of a person who had convinced herself that she was untouchable, hidden behind the anonymity of the dark web. But nothing is truly anonymous, not when you're plotting murder. By the way, if stories like this give you chills, subscribe to Backdoor Tales. Darker tales are waiting for you, and some may even follow you into your dreams. But perhaps the most chilling story was that of a husband who wanted to erase his wife. Divorce wasn't enough. He wanted her dead. In Minnesota, his fingers typed commands that investigators would later read with horror. His instructions were calm, almost businesslike. He paid thousands in Bitcoin and told the so-called assassin, "Make it look like an accident. Don't harm the children." Imagine his wife, sitting in the living room unaware that her life had already been signed away on a hidden website, her husband in the other room smiling at her while secretly plotting her murder online. He believed it was in progress. He believed the hitman was real. But law enforcement had intercepted his requests. The wife never knew how close she came until agents showed her the evidence, screenshots of her husband calmly arranging her death. Imagine staring at a document where your spouse has signed your execution order. That is not the plot of a film. It is a real case. The deeper investigators dug, the more sinister the world became. It wasn't just individual sites. It was marketplaces, forums where strangers voted on jobs, and even left reviews, like Yelp but for murder. There were threads where anonymous users debated methods, poison, staged accidents, car crashes. Some even advertised discounts for family killings, as if ordering the death of a spouse or sibling was nothing more than buying a cheaper model of phone. Authorities eventually exposed many of these markets as scams, but buried in the endless chatter were real attempts, real orders placed with real intent. Some of them led to arrests. Some of them almost led to deaths. The question always rises, are there actual hitmen on the dark web? The answer is complex. Most of the websites are lies, but the true horror isn't whether the killer shows up. The horror is that people are willing to believe it. Thousands of them. Willing to pay. Willing to send photos of their targets. Willing to confess their darkest wishes to strangers behind a screen. That is where the terror lives. Not in whether a gun is pulled in the night, but in how ordinary people can be consumed by the idea. These are not mafia bosses. They are not serial killers. They are nurses, husbands, wives, everyday people who one day decide that murder might be the solution. The dark web becomes their mirror, reflecting back the monster hiding inside them. There were rare cases where the lines blurred. Real killers who used the cloak of the web to offer services. Small-time criminals who flirted with the idea of murder for hire. Rare but not impossible. Enough to make the hair on your neck rise. Because when you stare too long into the abyss sometimes stares back. For investigators, the most chilling part wasn't the scams. It was the sheer volume of people willing to try. Pages upon pages of requests for death, for erasure, for blood. Some targeting strangers. Some targeting neighbors. Many targeting the very people they once loved. Husbands, wives, lovers, family. That is the true nightmare. And here's what makes it darker. While many were caught, not all were. Some orders were placed on sites that vanished overnight, servers gone, Bitcoin cashed out, clients left wondering if a killer had their instructions in hand. Some of those targets are alive today, blissfully unaware that somewhere, someone tried to sign their death certificate in the shadows of the dark web. Imagine that possibility. That right now, your name could be sitting in a hidden forum, your photograph attached to a message that reads, "Payment received, job in progress." You wouldn't know. You would keep living your life. And that thought alone is terrifying enough to keep you awake at night. So, are dark web hitmen real? The truth is complicated, and the answer is both yes and no. But perhaps the better question is not about them, but about us. What does it say about humanity that so many people believe? That so many were willing to try? The sites might be scams, but the intent was real. The hatred was real. The betrayal, the greed, the desire for revenge. Those were real. And that makes this story less about killers hiding behind screens and more about the monsters hiding inside ordinary people. And that's the darkness we all fear. Not supernatural demons, not ghosts, but the chilling reality that behind closed doors, behind glowing screens, people are typing out murder plans with cold precision. They look like your neighbor, your coworker, your friend. They look like anyone. And maybe that's the scariest truth of all. And if you want more terrifying stories, don't forget to subscribe to Backdoor Tales. The next one may haunt your dreams long after the video ends.